I can take care of the physical. Men, we have it easy. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. But when you're emotionally drained, it's not like you can touch yourself to emulate a female. I want to be understood, feel giddy, learn about someone, have a bonding type of feeling, and so on. It's not a physical problem I have, it's a mental thing I want taken care of. A quick release will not help me. I'm looking for someone to help me with ideas, career, future, problems, and issues. What do I do to take care of that? You can't distract your mind that way. Story 1. A few things. 1. Go get a massage. When you're single and trying not to make bad decisions out of loneliness, 90 minutes of therapeutic non-sexual touch focused entirely on your needs can be profoundly soothing. Hard at the moment with COVID-19, but go take some salsa, swing, or other partner dance classes. They are usually around $15 for an hour, and you will be passed around every 2 minutes into the arms of a new partner, face to face, working together to figure out some new fun step. A terrific way to get some close physical human contact in another non-sexual way that is just warm and simple and pure fun. Even though you're not going to hunt down romance, it is possible you will hit it off with someone and have a perfect new hobby in common. Go to a yoga class. The stretching will relax your body tension, ease some stress, and the view of fit, healthy bodies stretching all around you will remind you that you're alive in the middle of a vibrant, exciting world filled with attractive possibilities. Again, don't treat it like a hunting ground. Do it to feel yourself grow stronger and less flustered. But again, it's possible you might catch someone's eye and chat while putting your shoes on afterward. The keys here are getting out of your house, exploring opportunities for both non-sexual human touch and personal physical care and development. You will feel more centered, less lonely, with more opportunities and less anxiety. And to calm you, taking care of yourself without desperate, haunting preoccupations of romance helps make you your most attractive self. The rest is just exposure to others and statistics. Go forth audaciously, son. Story 2. Do you have anyone who can be a mentor figure, professionally speaking? For more bonding, do you have any group hobbies? Meet people through shared activities to build rapport and trust. Story 3. I think I've learned that sometimes you just have to accept being unable to do anything about it. Nobody can really fill a void for you besides yourself. I find exercise really helpful in making myself feel satisfied. Seeing results in the mirror is always nice. Story 4. I do the most completely not toxic thing and just ignore it and absolutely dive headfirst into something as silly as video game lore or reading books that pertain to my technical or career interests. A less toxic but still seriously depressing thing is listening to autonomous sensory meridian response or pillow talk audios and maybe letting out some tears or living out some deep fantasy of not destroying my mind and body for a thankless career and maybe settling down with a wife and kids. This imaginary scenario in my head spans over 30 years in a matter of 30 to 60 minutes before I fall asleep. And last but not least, the healthier manner. I understand that I am a bit lonely and try to put myself out there more, but not before I fix myself first. It is not fair to look for a partner just because you're lonely and not try to fix your inner issues before you find someone, because that is selfish and will usually end poorly. Story 5. I remember all those wonderful times with my exes where I allowed myself to be vulnerable and shared deep emotional intimacy, only for those moments to be used against me towards the end of the relationship. Story 6. I have a platonic female friend who I am very close to. It's pretty great. We have many shared interests and tons of deep and silly conversations and give each other the male and female perspectives. Things were so cool with us that I actually did ask her if there was maybe more to it. She said she only sees me as a friend. Now all the pressure is off, and we both reap all the rewards of a meaningful, genuine friendship with the opposite sex. Honestly, it's been so fulfilling the last year that I don't even mind being single. Story 7. I tend to binge Tinder and whatever else online dating app, swiping a large amount. Then a few days go by, I once again match with no one and delete all of it for a few months. This too shall pass. Story 8. Welcome to my life. I didn't have a father, so I always feel like that. As a male, I feel like a baby, and it makes me cringe. These periods can get so intense sometimes that I find myself seeking out God. It's crazy. The worst part is that I can't even cry. Most of the time, I just block these feelings by being my own father. In the competitive world, I feel like I am behind sometimes, and it breaks me. It's hard to depend only on yourself throughout your whole life. Sometimes you just wish you had a break. Story 9. Honestly, ASMR helps a lot for me. There are some roleplay ones where the audio is your girlfriend and she talks, tells you she loves you, or tells you sweet things. I don't know. As pathetic as it sounds, it honestly helps me when I have a really bad day. Story 10. I'm a lady, but I'd like to make a couple of suggestions that have helped me. 1. Dungeons and Dragons. It's harder with COVID, but there are groups like Adventurers League where you play preset modules at local game places. There are also different online forums where you can find a group. It's a nice way to meet people and explore things without getting right into emotional intimacy. Art and writing groups. This might be harder for most men because they tend to be female-dominated and often focus on fandom or character-based content. Makerspaces, though this is another one that's difficult with COVID. In my experience, it's full of older men who love working on interesting projects. And to be honest, a lot of them are eager to mentor. Volunteer. There are 1,000 different organizations from children's softball to dog rescues to mental health peer support. You'll find people who want to achieve the same goal, and it's nice to work as a team. Also, I might be reading too much into the original poster's question, but I agree it absolutely sucks that men end up emotionally stunted and lonely in our society. However, I worry about all that responsibility being placed on your romantic partner. I see it too often, and it can harm your relationship if you're not collaborating and communicating as a team, even then, because it's not healthy to be the one and only support for another person. Story 11. Making a female friend helps a lot. One of my best friends is a woman, and having her around is such a huge blessing. We don't date for many reasons, but we definitely are going to be friends forever. Story 12. There's a lot of people in this thread just telling you that you're lonely and you should get a hobby, but I totally get the idea of being emotionally needy. I go through the same phases myself. In the same way I'd use adult films if I was physically needy, I use romantic comedies if I'm emotionally needy. There's a pretty broad range of romantic films and shows these days, so don't feel like you have to suffer through any tiresome romantic movies if that's not your preference. If you're feeling really bad, try a TV show with a will-they-won't-they plotline. Just make sure they actually get together at some point in the show, or you'll just frustrate your heart and no one needs that. Message me if you want any title suggestions. Story 13. I do meditation. I tell myself, hey, just because I don't have a girlfriend doesn't mean I'm worthless. I shouldn't get a girlfriend just because of the idea of having one. If I ever get one, it should be because we enjoy each other's company and we can vibe well together. Story 14. Have prolonged conversations with people like your neighbor, your colleague, or an old friend. Just talk with them for a bit. It's not a romantic relationship and most likely won't evolve into one, but you will feel much less lonely after. It will be a small and quick release. You'd also be surprised how much you can learn about people during small talk, as most like to gossip. Ask about their weekend and listen patiently, and you'll probably learn everything they did, everything they are going to do, everything their friend did, and loads of personal preferences. After a couple of conversations like this, they'll initiate too, and you can complain about your problems as well. Go have dinner with a friend, or do something together. Even if you wouldn't like to do something otherwise, try it out at least once in the name of being social, at least once. Do you hate going on treks, but your friend is going on one and invited you? You should probably still go. Maybe the company will make up for how bad the activity is. So, long story short, force yourself to be more social. Only starting off is difficult. Eventually, it will get easier. Story 15. So you want a friend, a therapist, or a life coach? One moment you want a close relationship, the next some life direction. There are many ways you can go about fulfilling emotional needs. Join a club, group, or gym where you will find people with similar interests that you can easily relate to. Story 16. I get stoned, put on headphones, darken the room, and put on autonomous sensory meridian response girlfriend roleplay videos. I used to think autonomous sensory meridian response was for weird virgins, but I found out I'm really sensitive to it. Story 17. Maybe it's touch starvation? As a woman, sometimes I feel like I want the affectionate embrace of a man, or to hear the voice of a man I have connected with, rambling about his favorite comedian, or getting to watch him be passionate about his craft or work. I want to be able to smell him through his clothes that he lends me. I don't know, I crave to experience that too. I've never experienced any of that. During those moments, if I meet any of my guy friends, hang out with them, and hug them, the craving kind of calms down a bit. Story 18. So it turns out that everybody has this problem as well, and nobody has an effective solution too. I'm starting to think that it shouldn't be like this. Should we be the change? Story 19. Ever since my last girlfriend dumped me, I've been asking myself that very same question. Not a whole lot of intimacy to be had in a house full of blokes. Story 20. What helped me get past this exact same situation recently was honestly just deleting social media platforms where I was bombarded with people in relationships, stuff like Instagram, Facebook, Tinder, and the likes. It is affording me the opportunity to not pay as much attention to the fact that I am single, and is helping me to come to terms with that fact. Unfortunately, if you are unhappy when you're single, then you will not be happy in a relationship. Story 21. It's difficult, I know, but what I did was stop expecting an emotional connection to happen. I'm alone, and that's okay, but it can be difficult to go through the process of accepting that. Story 22. Make sure to respect and love yourself. Try to be your best self. Once you are comfortable with yourself, this feeling will shrink, because you will learn to take care of it all by yourself. Do not force a relationship. It happens when it happens. But you are with yourself all the time. Story 23. Well, the thing is, to get that from a girl or from a girl who is capable of doing that, men also have to step up to be that kind of partner for women. Personally, from my experience, I get that kind of connection with some guys, only for them to later drop the ball and treat me poorly. I see a lot of the same issues with my heterosexual female friends. Although I feel like society puts a lot of pressure on women to be in relationships, which makes us bend over backwards to get into one, men still need to do their part in a relationship to get that genuine connection they're looking for. In the dating world, from a female perspective, many men lie and say whatever they want just to get me into bed. But what kind of relationship is formed from that? Story 24. Well, first you should learn that people are not objects to take care of your needs. The fact that you did not identify your own behavior as loneliness speaks volumes about how you view other people. Relationships are like brushing your teeth. They are requirements for a healthy well-being and future. Sometimes, the act of caring about someone's needs before yours is a little painful, but it eventually becomes easier and more fulfilling over the years if you engage in it regularly. Good luck. Story 25. At first, I wrote date. But what I really should say is that it sounds like you are looking for a meaningful relationship. I mean, isn't that what we are all looking for when we are talking about the things you described? I'm sorry you are feeling like this during a pandemic, though. I also read a comment about autonomous sensory meridian response, and I have to tell you, it seems weird, but give it a try and use headphones. Story 26. I see a lot of comments here about self-care and trying to get to that happy place in their minds for this. Well, that never really worked for me, or if it did, it stopped working when I was a child. I have, however, had success in going the other direction with it. So, you picture hell and then you mentally place yourself there. You carry this visualization forward until this life seems like the dream you are imagining because the hell is so real and so awful, your mind must have created this world to protect itself. Then this world seems a little bit better by comparison. Story 27. I'm a depressed sack of shit. But when I'm emotionally longing, I actually chase after things that make me sad. Songs, bits of television shows, or movies. Anything I have a strong emotional connection to. I enjoy crying and feeling that emotional intensity. Story 28. Emotionally lonely? I just reflect upon my actions for the past 2 weeks and see if I'm worthy of facing myself. Then I focus on what went wrong and why I deserve that fate. Afterwards, I push myself until I get up and accept the facts. Then I get down and indulge. But I hate it. Problem solved. Story 29. A lot of people say they want this, to be heard, seen, felt, understood, wanted, needed, and loved at a molecular level. But when the opportunity presents itself, they don't allow it to truly happen. The truest way to make sure you're ready for what you're asking is to genuinely know how to let yourself be loved. No one can love someone through an emotional fence, a mental wall, a love barricade, or barbed wire feelings. You will have to be raw and open. Allow yourself to be loved as you are willing to give the same in return. Story 30. Read wholesome hentai. Heartgasms are the closest thing I get to what you were talking about. Hentai will open many doors for you. The following sources have been sifted and sorted for wholesomeness. Story 31. Female jumping in to do a help, if that's okay. I would, if I were you, download a dating app and talk to ladies. You are an attractive guy with good qualities. You are also a good writer, I know. So, I highly recommend you use those good qualities, flaunt your man bun, and talk to a few ladies on Tinder or Bumble, even if you don't meet them. If you're not ready for that, you can also do what I do and read erotica. You can flirt with someone on Reddit who you find attractive and build a friendship which might turn into sexual flirting down the road. Lots of options.